Johnny Depp spells doom for the elites. I'll explain after the drop. What's up, capitalists? Hey, it's Nate Houseman, your intrepid guide to the 21st century. I make content to help regular people, whether they're small business owners, entrepreneurs, freelancers, people grinding away in their 9 to 5. I want to make content to help them succeed on their own terms. And usually I talk about business and the economy, but we have to talk about pop culture. We have to talk about Johnny Depp and how he spells doom for the elites who are trying to grind us down. If you find this content valuable, please click the thumbs up button, click the subscribe button, whether you're watching this on YouTube, Rumble, Odyssey, or if you're listening to the podcast compilation. Please follow and please share this content with your friend, with your everyone you care about. I want to help you and help myself. So, everyone or most people know about the Amber Heard Johnny Depp defamation trial and how Amber Heard was was revealed as a lying, out of control. Well, she wasn't diagnosed with psychopathy or narcissism, but she's out of control, and it really put an end to the whole Me Too movement and the whole charade that it was. It started as a decent, good thing to help expose degeneracy in Hollywood and the halls of power, but it became twisted. It became used as a front for some very unsavory behaviors, some very unsavory activity. So what we have to consider now is what else is a front? What else was something that was used to either intimidate us or fool us into compliance when it wasn't really what its proponents said it was. We've got an article from Bounding Into Comics here, and Bounding Into Comics is probably the best pop culture website, news website I can find, and Pirates and Princess is probably is up there too. But they have a very lengthy article about Heard versus Depp and the pop culture fallout, and it's pretty long. We're just going to skim parts of it. For years, men living in Western society have been excoriated, ridiculed, abused, and emasculated by an emboldened subgroup of radical third-wave feminists proclaiming victimhood, while reaping the benefits of a societal structure that took their false accusations at face value and showered them with a huge influx of political power. And that, as we're going to see, that model, that archetype of a plan has been used in many other areas as well. Let's go on. Last week, it all came crashing down thanks to a landmark case involving Hollywood's most hilariously dysfunctional couple, Amber Heard and Johnny Depp. The verdict came down swift, and it was bad news for Heard, who is now on the hook for millions of dollars in damages following her defamatory statements against Depp. Heard managed to score a single win in her countersuit to the tune of $2 million, but it was peanuts compared to the $50 million in total damages awarded to Depp. The jury is still out, no pun intended, on whether Depp will receive that entire amount, due to the fact that Amber Heard's own lawyer has revealed she cannot possibly pay it. But nevertheless, it was never about money. For all his personal foibles, substance abuse issues, and questionable life decisions, Johnny Depp put himself squarely in the public eye and bared a treasure trove of embarrassing secrets, all for the sake of taking out a vitriolic narcissist and pathological liar. And we should thank him, begrudgingly. So, the article goes on to say that how the Me Too movement was used to falsely accuse many men, and we should take this out. We should take this, turn of events to really consider. We really need to be careful on what we believe and what we take at face value and what we should, investigate. Things really became problematic when Hillary Clinton decided to extend her support to the Me Too movement, seemingly oblivious to the fact that she spent most of the 1990s running down and slandering her philandering, adulterous husband's many accusers. So Rose McGowan ripped the facade off of the Time's Up spin-off movement. And let's see here. Yeah, Amber Heard was just really the last straw. She's the one who revealed most of it as, a lot of it as an out of control witch hunt, in the style of the French Revolution, all the guillotine, all the beheadings. And it goes on to ties to woke capitalism, all the out of control politics in entertainment, and the trans movement. When they mentioned Justice Smollett, that we really need to consider how it's not just the Me Too movement that used this plan of attack. It was movements like Black Lives Matter, Justice BLM, and sociopathic race hoaxers like Justice Smollett made it much harder to believe accusations of racism directed towards minorities. So too, as Amber Heard made it more difficult for victims of actual sexual and physical abuse to come forward. So yeah, Justice Smollett, he was shown to be a fraud. How many other, supposedly worthwhile causes are actually fronts? BLM and Antifa, they hid out among the peaceful protesters and started rioting. And they used the genuine, well-meaning protesters against, police violence and police brutality. They used that as a shield to cover their intimidation tactics. And they were able to get out a lot of money for their political causes. So think what else might be, a front for some political cause. Maybe the climate change agenda. Why would anyone oppose fossil fuels? Well, supposedly because they pollute, and they cause, they emit greenhouse gases. Well, do they really? You got to think about who's pushing this agenda. It's the media. It's the corporate media. Think about the January 6th, commission that's going on. That's going to be made public this week. Can you trust them? Think carefully. Think about the gun control movement. We've got so many, mass shootings now. You got to wonder. It's like, it's almost as if it's intended to happen. I'm not saying it is or isn't on YouTube, but it's very suspicious. Is that a false front? So we're gonna. This is all backed by probably the elite's biggest weapon, and that's the corporate media. Now, when I say the corporate media, I don't mean liberal media. We used to call it liberal media because they were blatantly pro-Democrat. But I would argue now that they're not real liberals. They're false liberals. Johnny Depp's probably a real liberal. Rose McGowan's probably a real liberal. You've got content creators like Joe Rogan and Russell Brand. They're probably real liberal, true, genuine liberals. Real liberals care about, human rights. They care about protecting the disadvantaged. They care about, science and the arts. And what we're seeing now is a lot of false liberals. I would define them as, I would label them as leftists, like Hillary Clinton, like the flacks in the media, as frauds. They are in the service of a global elite who are like pretty much a separate finger on the same hand as like the communists and the corporations. They're all an elite power structure that's clamping down on human rights. So we're going to talk about that. Before we do it, let me introduce you to my sponsor, myself. You can click on the link to natehausman.net and my website, and go to the link, click on the link to my store, and you can purchase a lot of cool shirts and hats. I've got ideas aplenty, and you can share them with anyone who wants to read them on your chest or on your head. So click on that. And I also have some links to some helpful resources if you're in business for yourself and you need a website and marketing. click on my link to Vendasta. And if you want to survive this massive inflation, click on the link to Uphold, and you can preserve your wealth with Bitcoin and precious metals. And I'll talk about that in other videos. But let's talk about the media and just what a sucker punch this was to the whole corporate media. Mainstream media lashes out at independent creator coverage of the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial. This is from reclaimthenet.org. Reclaimthenet.org is another great, non-mainstream media website. Their focus is on freedom of speech on the internet. And the main idea of this article is content creators, like on YouTube, podcasts, blogs, they have been giving a more accurate and more honest, assessment of the trial than, say, traditional media. Like, we've heard about you probably heard about the Washington Post. Their reporter Taylor Lorenz getting roasted over false reporting. So let's read this. One of the defining aspects of the Johnny Depp Amber Heard defamation trial was the way audiences embraced independent creators' coverage of the trial. YouTubers such as That Umbrella Guy, Legal Bites, and Rakita Law covered the trial daily and got hundreds of thousands, sometimes millions of views on their videos. And many YouTubers who covered the trial challenged the mainstream media's pro-Heard narrative and agreed with the jury's final verdict in favor of Depp. So, yeah, everyone. I didn't directly watch the trial, but a lot of people did. Many more people than has probably ever covered a big trial, probably since OJ. And now in the age of social media and YouTube and podcasting, everyone can see the corporate media, the TV media, the newspapers for what they are. And that's obsolete. So the Washington Post's Taylor Lorenz claimed that the creators who supported Depp during the trial were driven by economic bias. Yet she had no questions about her own outlet's pro-Heard bias, even though the Washington Post published the Amber Heard op-ed that was the subject of the defamation trial. Lorenz also claimed that as more people turn to online creators for information, misinformation flourishes. However, within hours of publishing her post, she issued a correction admitting that she had shared inaccurate information in the original version of her article. And misinformation, as the elites call it, is such a bugbear to them. I mean, what they call misinformation is really eyewitness information, or people, just ordinary people, sharing what they know, either their first-hand knowledge or information that they have seen with their own eyes. A lot of people watched the Johnny Depp trial live. They saw with their own eyes and heard with their own ears the evidence. And for the elites, for the media to openly contradict that's gonna throw a lot of people off and wake up a lot of people. So the World Economic Forum, that happened a couple weeks ago. They say their press freedom panel, they demanded social media accountability for rumors and hate speech. So you got to now that we know that the media are lying sacks of shit, you got to wonder, what is the motivation of anyone who calls user-created content disinformation or hate speech? You got to wonder, what are they so worked up about? You've got the Australian e-safety commissioner calls for a recalibration of human rights and free speech. So the elites of the World Economic Forum are just scared shitless that ordinary people have the right to post whatever they want. And I've said for a long time, you don't fight disinformation with censorship. You fight it with real information and evidence. And that's why I would like you to wear this shirt that says, I don't care about your title, I care about your evidence. So We have seen YouTubers like Nick Rekieta, who's a professional attorney, analyze trials like Amber Heard and also Kyle Rittenhouse. And Kyle Rittenhouse has said, "Oh yeah, he's fired up. Depp's legal victory over Amber Heard is fueling him to launch his own defamation lawsuits against Facebook and up to 15 others who slandered him as a white supremacist and a murderer." This is from the Daily Mail, and you got to be careful with the Daily Mail. They are a corporate, outlet. They're not quite as cosmopolitan as other organizations in the UK, like the BBC or the Guardian. But the only point I would make with that is just think critically and learn to use your discernment. And the Daily Mail is reporting on this, and Rolling Stone magazine / website is up in arms. They're saying, "No, Kyle Rittenhouse, the Depp verdict shouldn't be fueling you." And how's that for sour grapes? Rolling Stone is an avowed leftist organization. They're not real liberals. They used to be, the cutting edge of music and entertainment media. Well, them alongside MTV, they were huge in like the 80s and 90s and probably the 70s. Everyone turned to them for qualitative, for authoritative reviews of the latest albums or the latest movies or TV shows. But we don't need them anymore. MTV is kaput because you can watch music videos on YouTube. Rolling Stone has competition from blogs, YouTubers, podcasters, and bounding into comics. So you got to chalk up a lot of this to just sour grapes. And what we're doing here is we're chipping away at really the legitimacy of the elite's corporate mouthpieces. We're tearing down corporate media and raising up independent media. Not how the leftists not what the leftists call independent media, but true citizen journalism. People on YouTube, people on podcasts, people with blogs, people like me. You can do this. Click on the link to Vendasta and they'll set you up with a website. So things look really bad in the economy. We're seeing food plants being burned. We're seeing inflation at the grocery store. We're seeing gas prices go up. But really, the elites are just terrified. They know they're losing. So we got to keep a stiff upper lip. So with that, I'll let you go. And if you want to support the channel, go ahead and click on the links, share it, and go to my website for some more cool news from around the web. I'm Nate Hausman, and it's okay to stand up for yourself. Have a good one.